All right, hello everybody. Welcome to Google I/O. Thank you for coming all the way out here. I know we're in the furthest booth here, but it's a beautiful day. Really excited to have you all here at I/O, and it's incredible to see how much apps have really taken off, and the functionality you guys are delivering in your apps. And there's no question apps have become an essential part of everybody's daily lives now, and that's really great to see. And something my team is really, really happy about is we get to be here with you, helping you succeed here. And we know this because we're excited. We see this number. We're in 1 million apps across Android and iOS, and it's very exciting for us to see this kind of usage. So here's another number we're really, really proud of. We've paid out over $3.5 billion to app developers in ad revenue. And we're just going to keep investing in this platform. We're going to make this number grow and continue to grow. OK, so at Google, we want to help you develop your apps, grow your users, and earn. And today, we're going to focus here on earn, because that's where AdMob can really help make a difference in your business. And for some of you, in-app purchasing is something that works really well for monetization. But we know that for most apps, most users are not paying, and most apps are free downloads. And so that means advertising is an essential part for a lot of you. So it's really our mission here to really make the best ad experiences and to help developers succeed as much as possible by delivering those great ad experiences to your users. Okay. So these are questions that we wake up with every day. We're always thinking about this. Sometimes these questions actually keep us up very, very late at night. Things like, is there a better way to match ads to users? Is portrait, which we see more and more, is that the new horizontal? Or how do I manage a bunch of these regional networks that are coming up and providing good things? How do I manage all of them when I'm just either a small development shop, or how do I use less engineers in these large developers? And like these questions, they're pretty important. They really do keep us up at night, because the thing is, advertising is really about more than just making money. Like advertising, we truly believe, is what powers the free and open internet. So if we get that right, we'll enable more and more apps to proliferate and help you be successful. Okay? Now we know that a very, very small percentage of apps, when they're downloaded, are paid for. And that means that most of the apps that you guys are building right now, they're probably free or freemium, like somewhere in that area. And as users, I mean, I love that. You probably love that. I bet if you pulled out your phone right now, you looked at all of your apps, I bet like almost all of them are probably free. And that's great for you and you and you and me, because we're getting a lot of value for free. But here's the challenge. If you switch to our developer hats, that statistic doesn't look so good, right? And that's really the challenge. So the thing that we're thinking about here is, how can we help you get more paid downloads, if that's the part you're in, and at the same time, how can we work on that other 95% of users who don't pay for your apps in general, and how can we make money off of advertising for that group? And how can we do both at the same time? So that's something that's front and center in our minds. So here's one solution to this that we've been investing quite a bit in lately. This is a rewarded video ad, and this is something we launched on our platform about a year ago, and we worked with a number of other partners. And just in March at GDC, we announced that we're going to start serving ads as well from the Google Ad Network. And so this is Zepto Labs' Crash Arena Turbo Stars. So if you haven't played this game, it's a lot of fun. You get to be one of these cars. You design your car, and you go to battle with someone else, and you get to have these constant battles. Now, in this game, you want to have a great car. And to make a great car, you need parts. And to get parts, they come in crates. And to get crates, you earn these crates. But when you earn these crates, you see that timer. And I've got to wait 2 hours for my crate to open. Now, in this case, I can either open it right now by using some gems. Now, gems cost money, so that's the IAP side. Or I can accelerate that, and I can skip 30 minutes of that wait time by watching a video. I think I watched probably 24 of these yesterday, or 20. It helped me move through the timer pretty quickly, so then I can go ahead and get my parts. So let's go ahead and click that skip button, and this is what happens. So we see a video here. We see the timers on the upper right. Usually it's about 30-second video. There's an end card here that we saw right at the end. There's a call to action on the bottom. And we're seeing really good user engagement with these ads. Now, maybe I click, maybe I don't click. But either way, I'm pretty happy because I just took 30 minutes off the clock. I feel like I got value out of this ad. So that's good for me. And I'm leaving this feeling happy and more engaged. We move on from there. I get my 30 minutes, and we go on. So here's the thing. This isn't just about ad revenue, because the developer is making money off of this. But every time I watch a video, I'm getting a little bit more invested in this game. And that might drive me ultimately to be more likely to make in-app purchases. So here we've done something very interesting. We've balanced, not even balanced, we've gotten the best of both worlds, where we've gotten some ad revenue as well as more engaged users. And Zeptolab introduced this. Once they introduced our Google demand here, they saw AdMob revenue go up by 3x in their app. That's an awesome stat to see. And we're seeing more and more, a lot of these developers who were strictly in-app purchasing are now using these kinds of strategic formats because it's helping both the engagement as well as the in-app purchasing. Right, now the bulk of these downloads, we know they're free. And like I said, it's a very, very small number at the top. There's also a group down below that are sort of business supportive apps and so forth that don't charge anything. But the bulk of downloads we see today, they're free or freemium. And this is really about what we're seeing is it's a high, high focus on developer experience. And advertising maybe historically was a little less focused on UX. So we've got to find a way to bring those two things together. And one of the ways we're doing that is with native ads. So here we're seeing Perfect Corporation's UCAM Perfect app. And this is an app that's had like well over 50 million downloads. It's a pretty impressive app. And you'll see the button here on the left for the camera. The next button over, you can edit your cameras. I make myself look a little bit more beautiful. Can't get enough of that. Then we also see a collage. And then if you go to see the lower left larger button, what they've done is they've taken a relevant app ad and they placed it right inside their experience, so it doesn't really destroy the experience. And a lot of these developers are looking for something that's seamless. It just fits in well. It matches the font. It matches the colors, etc. And so you can expect to see a lot more of these native ads as we continue to drive into the better UX experience going forward. Okay. So we've also been working on some very interesting innovations in video. So one thing we've done is we took a huge supply of these horizontal videos that advertisers have really provided us over the years, because a lot of these advertisements originally came from the desktop side. And those assets are all in place. Now we've said, well, gosh, a lot of apps now are actually portrait. We'd love to see these in portrait mode, but we don't want the small portrait. We want the big portrait, because we know if we put big portrait there, the user engagement's higher. So we put our machines to work, and through some really fancy machine learning, we've managed to take these horizontal videos that automatically convert them from horizontal right over into portrait. And that means better user engagement, better CPMs. So better all the way around. We've also found a way to reduce a lot of these videos from 30 seconds automatically, again through machine learning, down to the 7-second shorts. And that means we can produce and show a lot of these videos in smaller places and other places. For example, a third area where we've been working has been on cellular networks. Now, a lot of your users, when they're using your games, they're on cellular networks. Now, you might want to show them some video ads because the engagement's pretty high. But over cellular networks, that's always been pretty hard. So what we found some tricky innovations here where we can deliver these videos while the user is on a cellular network. and that really improves the number of users that are seeing these great ads. And so as we see smartphones just continue to proliferate, and as we see internet coverage continue to just grow and grow and get cheaper and cheaper, you can expect to see a lot more videos and a lot more innovations in this video format. Okay, let's not forget about staples of banners and interstitials. So on interstitials, one thing we've introduced here in innovation, and we announced it last March, is playables. So these are like fun, interactive ads that go right into an interstitial space. So the developer doesn't have to do anything, but we see the engagement on these is really, really high. And that's really good for the developer because it makes you more money. Okay. All right, so if you were a developer and you're doing pretty well, and I have this conversation a lot. We've done so well in these mature markets, but what do we do now? We're not seeing a lot of growth. How do we go about it? Well, if I told you, if you took a look at the top 1,000 grossing apps, the ad grossing apps that use our platform, 95% of them are live in more than 200 markets. Okay? So that's a lot. That's a higher number than I had expected, but sort of speaks to it. And if you go further than that, out of all of their revenue, 85% of it is not from their home country. If you remember apps, the early days when we released to our home country, maybe some countries with the same language. But now it's really just gone global. And so there's one simple answer I have to these conversations, which is if you want to increase and maximize your revenue, a very simple thing you can do here is go global. Go global quickly. And if you go with the right partner on this, someone who's got global reach, they can help you. Now, if we think about this even further into the future, in the not too distant future, like the next billion users that are coming online with smartphones, do you know where they're coming from? They're coming from unsaturated emerging markets. Okay. So the good news in there is the cost of acquisition we see in mature markets versus these emerging markets, very different. So much lower cost of acquisition if you partner with the right partner. And also, in a lot of these markets, you probably would expect that advertising is going to play a more important part than in-app purchasing. Not for all of them. We see some skew across countries. But for most of these markets, advertising will be increasingly important. So what does it all mean? It means if you aren't releasing globally, you're leaving serious money on the table. It also means there's a whole new level of complexity to your advertising strategy. I mean, can you imagine having to go country by country, finding ad networks that fit just that country, and lining that up with not just one of your apps, but all of your apps, and managing that across different formats, where some networks serve some formats but not others. So this could get really complicated really, really quickly. So there's got to be an easy way to handle all of this complexity. And this is what we've been working on at AdMob. We're trying to solve these global developer challenges. And we say global, we really mean like global. Okay. So for one thing, because we're a single platform, we're live in more than 200 countries. With a single click, we can push you out to all of these countries simultaneously. So that's great. We also have some very big announcements today, or I should say yesterday, around how to manage this complexity in a simple way across both the developer experience as well as Mediation Groups. All right, so one of my favorite things about this job is I get to go out and talk to developers and learn from developers all the time. And I've probably talked to hundreds and hundreds over the last couple months, and my team's talked to several thousand in the last 12 months, like actual conversations. And this is great. We get a lot of feedback. It's all positive, I promise. So we're listening and listening. What can we do better? What are your biggest challenges? What can we do to help you earn more money? That's what we're focused on. And we really bucket those things into three main areas. Okay, the first main area is around just make it dead simple to get started, to get up and running, and to manage this across the globe. When I'm talking about that one button, it works globally. Like, help me on that. Okay. The second area is really around scale. Okay, so I had one app, And now I need to get more specialized, maybe in different areas. Maybe I've got 100 apps now, or 50, or even 10 is hard to manage. So help me on this scale problem that I've got. And the third area is, hey, I've got a lot of data now. And Google, you've got a lot of data too. So can we maybe put these things together and help me optimize? Let's make even more revenue, because we've got the data to do it. But it's hard, and there's a lot of logistics around that data and so forth. So let's work on optimize. So let's walk through these three areas. All right, so the first area is really monetize. And this is always the first priority the developer has. OK, let's get in there, let's get started, let's get going. And it's the first priority to lock down. OK, so the good news here, when we think about monetize, well, what can we do in the background, things that you don't have to worry about? Well, we've got a lot of global advertisers. And that's good, because that means if you want to go to a lot of countries, you need a network that reaches a lot of countries. So you need these global advertisers. And I already mentioned we have 1 million apps. But here's why that matters. It's because over on the right side, you see there's at least 1.3 billion unique user devices that we know about. We know things about them. So that means when we're trying to figure out which ad to serve to that particular moment, we're good at it, and we're getting better, and we're constantly learning from that. And that means you can get higher CPMs. It means the advertisers are targeting exactly the people they want to advertise. So that connection there is really a win-win for advertisers and developers. And we're just going to keep pressing that as hard as we can. And that's a great baseline. But there's a lot more we can improve on, and this is where we really put on our listening ears. These are things that we heard. Like, can we make simpler onboarding? Maybe progressive sign up? And can you show me where the documentation is earlier or easier in the process? Things are still reasonably complicated. This is tech, and it's fast moving. And format coverage. I talked a little bit about native and rewarded. Can you keep pressing those around native rewarded video especially? We just wanted to see more and more of that. And can you simplify ad unit creation even more and make testing like easy? I want to see exactly what I've got. And the thing we heard the most here was really about faster access and like, can you quickly show me how well I'm doing? I want to see how much money I'm making. I want to see if I'm missing, if I'm not missing, et cetera. Just can you do that to like really quickly all in one place? So these are the main things that we heard. So we went right to work on this stuff. So this is what we've been doing the last 12 months. So introducing AdMob Beta. Yesterday, we went live with this in the afternoon. We announced it. This is an entirely new user experience for you. We took a hard look at all of the developer journey, and we figured out through there, what can we do to make this as easy as possible? And yes, you can go to AdMob right now and sign up and go through this experience, because it is, in fact, live. All right. So why don't you come on up, Ali, and we're going to go to a live demo. So that means I'm slightly nervous. All right, so here we are. We're on admob.com, and we're looking at, this is Red Hot Labs, and they're using the new AdMob experience, and for their game, Bingo Blast. Now, Bingo Blast has, about 1 million downloads, 30,000 5-star ratings. It's available in the iOS store as well as Google Play Store. And it's a simple app. It uses IAP, also uses an interstitial. OK, so the first thing you're going to notice here is this gray bar across the top. Right. Now, this is the all-in-one, immediately, how am I doing? Just give it to me straight. And we can see from this that the last 28 days, all the way on the right, you see they made about $1.25 thousand. So that's pretty good. And let's see. Now, fortunately, let's see, we're looking at how's our fill rate doing. This is important. I want to know, I've got inventory. Are you serving ads into them? So we're seeing about 99.4% fill rate. That's pretty darn good. OK, definitely higher than most industry. And you also see this eCPM is around $19.33. That's also looking pretty good. So we got a pretty nice looking app here. It's going on. And now this is a pretty simple account. And if you were just getting started, this is the kind of thing that you'd probably see. You get going. So why don't we switch over to something that, as you're growing, it'll be a slightly more sophisticated account. All right, so here we're looking at the Lab Pixies account. All right, so they're based in Israel, and as you can see from the currency, and they've got dozens of apps in the Google Play Store and the App Store. And so you see this dashboard here. Now, for them, this is a nice unified view as well, because they're able to collapse a lot of apps all into one place. OK, and you're going to see, as you have more and more apps, AdMob becomes a little more and more powerful for you. And you're going to see these dashboard cards. See these cards over here on the right. As you use more features, more of these cards start to appear, cards that are relevant to what you're doing. Now, Lab Pixies, so they use some of their older apps. So you can see across the bottom here, they use some of their older apps to test out some of these new ad formats and different experiments. So some of them, they're tests. Maybe they're not doing as well as we saw over in the Bingo Blast side. We also, if you just look at this, this performance side, you see, OK, our match rate, yeah, that's not exactly the same. I wonder what's going on here. So that's a little bit different. The CPMs are quite a bit different than we saw in Bingo Blast. OK. And then over on the right, we're using mediation. And here's one space where you can see all of the different mediation we're using, all in a single place, how they're each performing, again, all in one place. And right now, so let's go back to this bottom left. So right now we see our top performance here are color grips and flooded. And there's also this selector here. So you know what? Let's take a look at our top and bottom movers. So let's see who's moved a lot. Now this is one of the things I heard over and over in my discussions. I've got all of these apps. There's data across all of these networks, different countries, et cetera. Can you just tell me who's making a lot more and a lot less so I could pay really, really close attention to that? You should be able to detect that for me. So here we go. So we built this functionality. So here we see color drips. OK, so they've really done a good job of something's popped there. Something's good. And some of these flooded. OK, something's not quite as good there. But this highlighting, really, really, I heard, happy we have this in the product now. So we could investigate what's going on in color drips in a second. OK, now before we do that, why don't let's go over to the app selector. So I'm looking over at this left nav bar. Now, one thing we realized is that when you're working and managing your apps, sometimes you're very focused on one app. Okay? And sometimes you're focused on all of your apps at the same time. You want to do something, you just want it to apply all the way across the board. And so we split out these two different workflows to really get them in here to match exactly how you work. So when we're thinking about the one app side, if you click on that, you can see all the different apps. You can search for the apps you want. I mean, some of these lists are thousands long. You can really imagine at scale. So it makes it quick to select it. And you also see down below, if I skip down, there's some account level things like reports and mediation. And we also heard that things like ad controls and payments, I need really quick access to that, no matter where I am. So we brought that right to the front. But then since we clicked on an app, that section expanded right below color drips. And you see all the relevant things that you want to do with the app right there. And on top of that, we're now in an app-specific dashboard. So before we had the account level seeing everything that was happening. And now we're in an app-specific dash that's showing everything that's happening with this specific app. So I can see everything right at a glance. So here we're seeing our dashboard across the top, again in gray. And what's nice about this is you see across all of the networks, all in one place, you see what's happening. Okay? And you also see a total revenue card. And you can see that revenue over the last 7 days versus last week. But we could also expand that out to 28 days. See what's going on. And we see, OK, how are we doing? OK, so interesting. So we had a really good week last week. Not sure what was happening in the 2 weeks before that. I think we might have taken our ad unit down. So we put it back up. Maybe we ran a promotion, et cetera. OK. We also see the network performance down at the bottom, and we see how we're doing here. So we've got a match rate of about 95%, so not as good as that last one we saw at 99%, but still pretty good. And a CPM of 33, but probably because we're showing a lot more impressions. OK, so I'm also looking now at the bottom right card. Now this card basically says, so there's a network we're using there, but we're seeing a lot of queries go in, but not a lot of impressions. So that's something we should probably go investigate, and we can take you right there. So what's great about this is we've surfaced this insight right here to your ad ops. This is not something engineering and analytics had to go do. This is something that's instantly available to you. So why don't we click on that report and go right into that. OK, so here we're looking at, let's see. Let's go ahead and take a look at the last 7 days and see what was going on here. So the last 7 days, OK, this is interesting. We weren't getting any impressions through. So that's not so good. So let's zoom back out to 28 days or 30 days. See what was going on. Yeah, last 30 days. OK, so we had some impressions going through. Still a little concerned here. It's not as high as I would have expected. That's not a good fill rate. So something's off. Now, what's nice is when we clicked that go see this report, it put some filters in place for us automatically. We didn't have to type all the filters in and choose that. We just went straight right in to say, this is color drips. This is this network. Let's take a look at what's going on. Now, here, I don't know if this is a color drips problem or a total network problem. So why don't we get rid of the color drips filter to see how this total network is doing? OK, so here I'm seeing thousands of impressions are going through. So the network looks like it's performing OK. But we got a problem then that must be not in these other apps, but in this app specifically. So that's good intel. So I can now go find an engineer, say, OK, I know where the problem is. Something's wrong in this app. With this, something's wrong in the configuration. Go solve this problem. So that's a lot of power that historically was something that's hard to go surface. OK, to summarize here, we've got an app-centric front-end, actionable dashboards, intuitive navigation, and richer insights. And these are a lot of good features. We just announced yesterday. Very, very proud of this user experience improvements. OK. All right, so now let's move on to scale. So let's say you've had some success. You've grown from, so let's say you took one app that is immensely successful. You're trying to specialize. Or you've grown thousands, and we've seen this before, thousands of apps, smaller apps all together. You got to the same place of success. So how do you manage all that? And you need a partner who's not just an ad network. You need a platform that you can grow with. And that's what we're really focused on right now. So in the past, some of our bigger partners, like I actually talked to partners who had 30, 40 engineers working just on things like extracting data from websites, from different networks, transferring it over country by country, inputting, coming back, cobbling together all the things. And we looked at that and we said, gosh, do you really want to be having that many engineers spending that much time on that? And their answer was, like, of course we don't. We'd rather use those engineers to make apps and make our apps better and make the apps fit better and improve and compete in the market. So we basically said, OK, we know we can fix this. This is a new problem. It's a scale problem because of your success. So let's get right to work on it. OK, so the first thing we did is we made it enterprise scale. So we knew we had to handle thousands of apps. And so we went right to work to do that. And we still maintain a reputation for stability. That's something we hear about often. The second thing we did is we said, OK, you're at scale. You're global. You want lots of networks. And so we provide support to over 40 mediated networks. And if that's not enough, we've got custom network support. Third thing we did is we said, well, with a lot of those networks, why don't we pull in the information so you can get all of that information in one place? And so we've been supporting over 20 networks. And the fourth thing we did is we enabled campaigns. Now, what are campaigns? Well, if you've got one app and then you grow to 10 and you want to cross-promote your apps, these developers were saying, yeah, I want to use my own ads. And one thing that's really nice about this campaigns capability is you don't have to build out your own ad serving infrastructure or build in specific ads into a release and change it in the next release. Here you do an ad slot, and you can manage this from the server side, very simply. But we knew there was more that we could do. And so again, we took to the streets, we asked the questions, and we said, you know what, we know we can manage, we've got problems that the user said. We want to be able to manage mediation more rapidly, we want more reporting, detail, we want more of this inbound aggregation so we don't have to go site to site, and we want, some of us launched on other platforms before you had rewarded ads. Can you give us more adapters so we can tap into demand? So the good news is we're solving each and every one of these things. And I want to talk about mediation groups. I'm going to switch over to demo. So mediation groups, I'm really, really proud to announce this. This was a tough one. It's a powerful new capability so that you don't have to manage hundreds or thousands of mediation chains. Instead, the concept here is take one unique combination of an ad network list and countries and apply all of your ad units to that one thing so you don't have to create over and over and over. And then when you make changes, it's just to that one. So as you'll see, this mediation groups, it really takes this issue head on. So first, you'll see we went ahead and clicked on mediation over the left, and that's how we got to this screen. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to see this in action. So let's go ahead and create a mediation group. Right, and as I mentioned, some of these developers are using this for dozens or hundreds or even thousands of apps. So to scale with them, I'm going to show you how to do this. So first you choose a format and a platform. And the reason those two you choose first is the mediation groups, you tend to make them specific to the format and the platform. Now let's go ahead and create a title now. We're going to call this one, what do we call this one? Android banners in high CPM countries. OK? And we're going to choose which countries, and we can include or exclude. So we're going to choose the US, and how about the UK maybe, Japan? These are high CPM countries in general. We're going to go ahead then. OK, so we've got our countries. Let's add some ad units to this mediation chain. Now here's what's great. It can be across all of your apps. They can all attach to the same one. So you do your homework on which ones you want. So you attach these apps with different ad units into here. OK, so now we've got that group set up. But now we need to say, what's the order of networks we want to serve? So we already see AdMob is in there. And now we're going to add another network. So why don't we add, all right, why don't you just choose one? Let's add one here from Unity. Sounds good. And we can either choose to optimize, which is this automated concept I was talking about, where we pull the data automatically, and then the ordering's done for you, which is awesome. Or we can go ahead and manually specify this. Sometimes we manually specify at the front just in case the credentials aren't working right. And we continue. And then we enter our ad unit ID. So Unity is going to say, here's an ad unit for this app, and here's one for that ad. And it's very important these things are kept separate so we can optimize to each one, because they're going to give different performance. We really want to optimize for every unit. So we go ahead and save that, and now we have a mediation chain. And all right, so that's it. It's that simple. We did this across all of our apps for that chain. And OK, so we see we've got 4 different mediation groups. Great. And we can dive right in and see what's there. We can also we can see how these guys are doing across by just clicking and dropping that down. And we know, and so we just did that group to people who serve UK, US, Japan. These other groups, they serve different formats in different countries. And if nobody's caught, we've got AdMob to catch everything at the end. OK? All right, so we also have this, let's see, we have this consolidated view of what's going on. So you see that bar across the top. So this gives you queries, impressions, and fill rates. That's across everything. And we've done some really hard, tricky math here to make sure that when we say queries, we mean queries. We don't mean double counting, triple counting. That's really confusing when you've got a bunch of network calls all happening for the same impression, how to add those up and not duplicate or triplicate count. You've also got the network earnings right at the top, which was a feature that was asked for. Yeah. There's also the possibility that you've got, let's say that someone's come in and said, hey, I've got a deal for you, $20 CPMs, put me in there. So we can go ahead and add that network pretty easily to our mediation chain, or if the network's already in there. So yeah, so let's go right in there. Let's modify this network. Let's put $20 CPMs in. And yeah, so let's go down. So let's change this Unity ads to $20. We change it here, and instantly, that's done. Now that's powerful across all the apps and all the entities. Okay, another thing. Let's say we want to add another app with a new ad unit. Well, we've already done the hard work in the mediation chain. So we take that ad unit, and we can attach it right into the same mediation group that we already had. So let's go ahead and add an ad unit from TryPro. Let's add that unit, add it, game ID, again, that placement ID, and we're done, just like that. So we took all of the networks across the globe, packed it into that one change, and we're done. And this is a really, really good way to save hours and hours that we've seen in the market. OK. So you've just seen this in action. Let's go ahead and flip back to the deck. You've just seen this in action. We're continuing to work on these features, simplified management. We're also allow you to call these other networks multiple times now in our new mediation groups. That's something that was asked for. We've got more coverage. We're now up to 25 networks where we can pull in data automatically. We've got rewarded inbound adapters now for 3 networks. So we've just added fiber, which is something that we've heard. So now let's move right over to optimize. So this is something where we've got data, you've got data, let's put it together. So the first thing we know is if you're using mediation, we have this real-time eCPM capability. It's a single click, and it lets us bid into every auction. So if we think we can make you more money, we'll go ahead and give you more money. So that's been seen to really improve performance. Second thing is we have these optimized refresh banners. If you have banners, you probably notice the speeds on the refresh are changing. So why should we ask you to go run all these A/B tests when we have a lot of data on this? So we're automatically changing that if you opt in. We find even though we show less banners, if we pick the right amount of time, you get better performance. The third thing we've seen is this dynamic allocation for your campaigns. So maybe you want to show 1 million impressions or 10%, but you don't want to lose out on these really high-value auctions. This dynamic allocation lets you keep those high-value auctions that make money and still serve the goals that you're trying to do. OK, so here I want to we're basically, again, we took to the streets. These are some problems that we found. It's really around complexity of revenue streams across these different units. So I want to introduce you to this new two-way integration with AdMob and Firebase we announced yesterday. And we're going to dive right in and see this thing in action. So the first thing you see is this apps dashboard. So this is a revenue card. Now here's what's awesome. You've got AdMob revenue in blue. You've got mediation revenue from other networks in red. And in yellow, you've got in-app purchase revenue, all in one place. Okay? This is hard. And it's really because of the marriage of Firebase, which is bringing in the in-app purchase, and our network optimization products, which are bringing in the external, and we put it all in one place. Also, we have this other card, which is about user metrics. So we're pulling this data in from Firebase. And you've got some really interesting new metrics, like ad exposure. How much are my users actually seeing right now, ads versus the app? And you'll see 11% in this case. But in banners, sometimes you see much higher. And you can see when it's high or low and when things might not be functioning correctly. But you can also see when you're running experiments. Are they helping or are they hurting? And how's my retention doing? And average sessions, all right here in your dashboard. So we're going to run a very fast demo. OK. And we see, so this is an account. This is a complicated account. You've got the flooded app. You've got a lot of advertising data, not a lot of IEP. You see 46% ad exposure, which is pretty common for banners. OK. And why don't we flip right over to a different kind of account? So this is a different one. This is Bingo Blast, which you see is really about IAP and interstitials only. And a lot of IAP there that you see in red. You see ad units at exposures 0.58%. That's really low. I bet, so that's an interesting number I didn't know. Maybe we could grow higher because we also see, if you scroll down, that we're at 99% fill rate. So I bet we could increase exposure, drop fill rate, and then we can closely watch how long these sessions are in the sessions per user and retention and see if that's working or not. So that's a pretty powerful way to manage your business. And this automatically comes as soon as you integrate Firebase. Very simple. Link the accounts. This data automatically flows in. You don't have to set anything up. So that's a really powerful innovation we're very proud to show you. And let me flip back over, and we'll go ahead and wrap up. OK. And so a lot of things to show on the AdMob and Firebase integration. We've got some great partners and seen some tremendous results so far. It's really simplifying what they had a lot of engineers working on or just not doing. So we're giving you that power. And again, monetize with this new beta we've released, Mediation Groups, and Google Analytics for Firebase. You put those together. We're really proud of this platform. We're always looking for new ideas. So if you have things you want to tell us, by all means, please reach out to us. And this is it. This is what it's all about. Make developers like you as successful as possible. Give you the best ad experiences that are possible. Some other things. Tomorrow morning at 8:30 to 9:30 is a session solely on the Firebase and AdMob integration. We've got office hours right now, and we've got a code lab that's happening tomorrow morning from 9:30 to 12:30, where we have people on site to walk you through native and rewarded. If you want someone technically to walk you through everything, those range between a half hour and an hour. We've got a Firebase Analytics presentation as well. So thank you very, very much. Really appreciate you being here.